Hey, what's up guys? This is Joel Adams with Iridesium, and today we're going to be taking a look at another method of creating clouds in Blender. This method of creating clouds is a lot faster than the one I showed in the last tutorial, and it gets some pretty realistic results. Unfortunately, this is really the only thing you can use this method for. It's not very flexible. You can't really use it for creating other types of clouds, and you can't really use it for creating anything other than these clouds. However, it's really fast and very realistic, so it is definitely worth knowing how to do. Anyways, let's jump right in and get started. Open a new scene in Blender and open a small 3D view down at the bottom for a rendered view. I'm going to add in a cube and scale it out on the X and Y axis, but not on the Z. Then I'm going to move the camera down and rotate it up so we're looking at the bottom of the clouds. Then I'm going to add in a sun lamp, and we're going to place this off to the left and rotate it so that we're kind of shining towards the camera and getting a rim light effect. Next, I'm going to turn its strength up to 12, and then I'm going to go and hit Use Nodes under the background surface settings. I'm going to grab a sky texture for now. Then I'm going to open a node editor and switch to material. I'm going to delete the diffuse shader for the material that's on the cube we just added. Then I'm going to add in a volume scatter. I'll plug this into the volume input, and basically that's how every cloud starts. Next, I'm going to go ahead down to light paths, and I'm going to set the max transparency all the way to its max, 1024. Then I'm going to set the volume bounces to 4. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add in a Musgrave texture. Control-Shift-Click on this to view it. I'm going to set it from FBM to multi-fractal. Then I'm going to go ahead and set the detail all the way to 16, which is what we always do with textures for clouds. I'm going to set the dimension to 0 and the Lacuna area to 2.5. Once you've got that set, you can turn the dimension back up to your liking. The dimension setting controls how spread out the Musgrave texture is. If you turn it up a bit, you'll get groups of clouds where the clouds kind of come together into clusters. And if you turn it back down, you will get little puffs of clouds everywhere. Next, I'm going to add a color ramp. I'm going to set this between the Musgrave and the volume scatter. Then I'm going to add a math node, put this between the color ramp and the volume scatter, set it to multiply, and plug it into the density of the volume scatter. I'm going to set its value to 2 for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip the values on the color ramp. I'm going to grab the black value and move it up closer to the white value. Then I'm going to Control-Shift-Click on the volume scatter to view it. I'm going to immediately turn its multiply strength up to 20. Just to give the clouds more density, and then I'm going to continue dragging the black toward the white on the color ramp. I'm going to turn the dimension down to 0.4 now, and I think I'm going to set the scale down to 4. That looks better. I'm going to drag the black toward the white on the color ramp again more. Then I'm going to add in an environment texture, open up a panorama. So that looks alright. I'm going to try turning transparency off, which I have checked by default when I open my Blend file. And then I'm going to grab a different texture. I don't like the gray shadow that the black part of the panorama gives the clouds, so I'm just going to add a solid sky image. This isn't really a panorama, and it does have a seam, but if you just keep that out of view, you should be all good. Next, I'm going to grab the white value of the color ramp and drag it closer to the black. That way we get some more contrast. Then I'm going to set the multiply value up to 40. That will give us twice the density we had before in the clouds. And it's looking pretty good. Next, I'm going to go back to the 3D view and add a cube. This cube is going to contain stratus clouds. We've created autocumulus or altocumulus clouds. And these are just going to be some stratus clouds sitting right above the other clouds. To just give another layer of detail to the scene, I'm going to grab a cube and scale it out along the y-axis so that its scale is all warped. Then I'm going to delete the diffuse shader for its material and add a volume scatter in. I'm going to plug the volume scatter into the volume input of the material output. Add in a texture. This time it's going to be noise texture. I'm going to plug the color into the density of the volume scatter right away and add in a color ramp between the volume scatter and the noise texture. Turning up the contrast quite a bit and set the scale down to something like 3. Then I'm going to set the detail all the way up to 16, of course, and turn the distortion up quite a bit. Now I'm continuing to turn the contrast up on the color ramp. And then I'm going to add in a math node in between the volume scatter, so we have very similar node set up to the last material. I'm going to set it to multiply and turn its strength to 3. Back in the 3D view, I'm going to go to top view and I'm going to hit S and then double tap Y to stretch it out a little more. Scale it out quite a bit, and that looks pretty good. Now that it is unsoloed, I see that it needs to have more density, so I'm going to turn its density up to 6, and that's looking better anyways. Now I'm going to go to top view again with numpad 7, and I'm going to shift D, duplicate this object. So rotate it a little bit to offset its rotation from the other one, and move it in to the side of the screen just so that we have sort of 2 streams of stratus clouds, if you will. Now I'm going to go back to the node editor and view these. I'm going to turn its density up again. This time I'm going to set it to 11, I think. And now it's about time for a render, so I'm going to go ahead and use 80% of 1920 by 1080 just so that we get our render done faster. As you can see, we have these artifacts inside the clouds. That's just because the mesh for the stratus clouds is intersecting with the mesh for the autocumulus clouds. So just drag the stratus clouds up above the other clouds and you should be all good. The next thing I'm going to do is turn transparency on. It seems to render faster with a transparent background, actually significantly faster. So I'm just going to render it with a transparent background and come back with the finished result. So here is the finished result, and looks pretty good, especially once you put a blue sky behind it. It looks photorealistic. The really great thing about this method is that it's really fast, and you can basically build clouds for any scene that you have without having to use an image in the background. They work really great for sunsets as well, as you can see, and I've got some results that are basically indistinguishable from real photographs. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. Next time we will be learning the secrets to creating cumulus clouds, and I will see you then. Thank you guys for watching. This is Iridesium. Bye.